Well, good evening and welcome again. Here we are for another segment. Hope again that this finds everybody well, healthy, and thriving as much as possible in this difficult time. Tonight I will try to be a little bit briefer since last week's segment may have short-circuited people's attention span, and it certainly did our technical capabilities of sending the file. I would like to give a shout out to my son Matthew for aiding in getting that done, as it became certainly beyond my capabilities. I also would like to send a brief thank you to my wife, who has allowed us to usurp the living room here, since the old dojo down in the basement was long ago taken apart, and this serves as our space for this. So, brief shout out to my wife, who is tolerant of this, though has managed to get a few more around the house chores done due to the fact that I figured I owe her one. That being said, once again I would like to introduce my helper, Matthew, to the fray. One of the questions that has been asked and that we looked at a lot yesterday, go figure, is that opening gambit, that opening move, what people are looking at accepting. This has been a question that's been asked many times, and it really comes through development. What you do well, what you don't do well, what works for you, what doesn't work for you, which comes through trial, error, and experience. Again, I cannot stress this enough when you come to class. It is great to roll. If you were there and you go home and you say, yeah, I beat everybody, you missed the point. Unless it's a competition day, you missed the point. Okay? You need to come learn through trial and error. And sometimes you try something all day, weeks in fact, and you get buried. But that's how you learn. You learn more through things that don't work than many times through things that do. So, I try to give you some concepts to work on, or at least think about. And then hopefully when we get back, sooner rather than later, we can then expand upon these. So, last week we looked at an opening gambit, sort of accepting the energy that's coming at us, redirecting it, changing it, okay? And many times this is what I do with you. I wait and see what you bring me, and then deal with it, and work with it, and transition it. But obviously, there's the other side of the coin as well, okay? And that is engaging. In other words, me pushing the pace, or you, in this case, pushing the pace, and this being the opponent. So, we're going to change positions. If you would, sir. So, if you would, duplicate this position.
Okay.
Whew, you've been up at the barn. So, here is the person, my opponent, your opponent. And instead of accepting their energy, I'm going to force my energy. And I can do this a number of ways. Again, depending on where you're at. Now, we're engaging in a position already on the ground. A lot of this is due to camera angle and the fact that this is a solid floor. And doing a takedown, well, that would end my partner's participation, or at least willing participation.
So, willing.
Well, we're going to call this one. You stay. Stay. Now, one of the positions I like to use, I like to engage when I'm upright, is in this. Keeping my elbows in, nothing outside here, and a nice solid base. I like this for me. I've worked with it for a while. I'm comfortable with it. I have a lot of normal tricks, and then I have some garbage that I do with it. Those of you who know me, Ryan, most of all, well, you know there's a lot of garbage out there. And occasionally I play with you guys with it. So, last week we did talk about, and one thing it talked about is motion. In other words, no matter what's going on, whether I'm going forward or accepting, I want to dominate and control the space and motion. And I think they're completely combined. If you can control one, you can control both. Okay? So, many times from this position, again, if you would, back. Now, this is if he's going to accept me. He's like working, he wants to work into his guard, full guard, half guard, or whatever, here. So, when I see this and figure someone might start to move forward, I want to check that motion again. Now, one of the things I like to do, and this comes from an old instructor of mine who was quite tall, and this was in stand-up. When you got close, he would just step on your foot. He would just step. That's all he would do. It was very distracting, and it also ceased because that motion planted, especially with a standing opponent, buried that energy right to the floor. Couldn't move. He can only compress so far, he can only get away so far. So we'll be here. And I will want to engage that energy. I will want to create something to, his motion ceases, mine does. You're looking at my opponent, block that motion. Effectively, this is just buried. Okay? I'm looking at some kind of wrist control, contact. Okay? Now I have a choice. Okay? Here, outside, turning my foot the other way, I can go inside. Okay? And I'm creating pressure, and I'm not even putting that much, but his foot is uncomfortable. But in doing that, he's distracted. From here, again, I'll be in that pose, control, and I'll come forward, knee, outside, I'm coming off his foot just to be nice to him. Normally, I would grind the foot the whole time. But now I've come outside him. Point of contact, point of contact. I'm blocking this foot with this leg. Boom. Okay, here. And then I'll collapse him. Once I'm here, in, I can move right up. Take the back, or push him into side control. Okay? Again, and I'll show it from the opposite side. Position yourself, just move back here. Thank you. Again, so here, I saw, planted to control. I'm containing his energy. He might be able to go back, but he really can't come forward. Okay? Burying his energy. Outside, outside. I have a lot of body weight here, unless it's a big opponent. Knee is coming to the ground, and I'm collapsing him. Okay? From here, I'll just ride straight up the body. Boom. Right into side control. He's obviously quite relaxed as he's crossing his legs here. Crunch. Turn the other way, please. Excuse the beagle in the background. He's having a contortion of some sort. Okay. So again, a little bit, I think we're still in the frame. Yeah. Again, from here, controlling the foot. Contact, burying his energy. Okay? Good base. If he tries to come up into me, he can't. If he literally tries to come up into me, too much here, too much base, just bury it. But as it is here, control, Bury. Bury. He flipped on his side. And so we're back. So depending on how our editing crew works, we'll see how this plays out. Sorry, we had a brief interruption with crazy dogs. Anyway, that is one of the training detriments at this place, which happens more often than you think. Anyway, back to opening gambit. So, again, my friend, if you would, down as your workplace. So, again, from here, in whatever form, looking at blocking the motion. Okay? Without stepping on the foot, I can still cross and go to the outside. I can split my opponent. Anybody care for a big white fat cat? Who's apparently now decided to join us as well? Okay. Wow. Beth, would you like a big white cat?
No. Mocha, kitty.
Sean and his videos, right?
Wherever you are is where she's going to be. Come on. Come on, Mocha.
We're having a tough time today. Anyway, to split. Again, breaking down, splitting through, collapsing. Now I take the side. Depending on how far I can go, I can even get up the back, depending on what's presented here. But certainly splitting and collapsing my opponent, okay? So, one path. The one I like from here is a lot of times people will come in, as you saw me do last week, Cam, they'll come in tight. So they'll start to move into their opponent tight. And they want to close the space, they want to control the space. Here is fine with me as well. People come in this tight if they have not established any type of real control. They do not want to reach out to grab because, of course, the extended arm is very dangerous for them. Okay. But here, for me, my energy is going to go through. I'm just going to collapse in, right down the middle. Again, I can collapse in and pass, or I can collapse outward and step over. Either way, at this point is good. At this level, this point, because I've already gone around my opponent. I'm coming in. Hook, carry. So we've run to the outside, we've run to the middle. Again, here, try to do it from both angles, both sides, so you can see more. Again, controlling the energy. Controlling the energy. But in this case, I'm letting a little bit of that energy come forward so I can drop, bury it. Control. Again, back of the head, not so much back of the neck. Here, to control posture, I'm in tight. I don't want to let him get in. Control, so I can step. Step around, I'm tight. Right into a wrist control. Arms dropping. I've already got one hook in. Here. Punch in, finish. You're not tapping already, are you? Come on, we can get a little bit more grown out here. There we go. Again, here please. And lastly, of course, I can be here and really transition out. So in here, I see this. Depending on way my opponent starts to move, but he starts to shift, and I cross. I create the same X we talked about last week, except from this position instead of that one. Now I've again stopped his motion, crossing it shin to shin. But again, as I come forward, this is going to break down. I've broken it down on the other side. I like this. Now this is, you can do really crappy things here. Bam. Just slam the knee straight in. Obviously, not a nice gesture, but it's just so ground and pound wise, there's also a lot of punishment you can inflict. Grind. But in this case, I'm collapsing to the ground, and again, I can bury him straight to his face, or straight to the back. Okay. So, from the other position, take the same position, please. So we're here. Check the motion. Outside. Collapse. Up the body. Side control. Another dog heard from. That one you met, that's Lucy. Again, bam. Stop the energy, straight through the middle. Control. Take the back. Or just bury. Wham. Okay? Just bury it straight in, depending on what you're trying to achieve. Third, again, plant the energy, cross. Okay? As I control. Now look, it's just a fan. It's just a fan. All I'm doing is taking the leg outside, the weight's now forward, a fan. Just gated. Boom. Open the path. So up. Here. And collapsing. You see, turn this way a bit more. And come back. When I open him, the knee is engaged at his midsection. If I want to, I can slice through and take full mount. This is also potentially another avenue. All depends on the motion, what you're used to, what you like, and what you want to achieve. Okay. Again, we refer to opening moves. Now, can I just have you over here? So look, again, at home, I'm giving you this posture. I use it. You certainly can look at other ones. We will look at other ones. We will look at you later. But the idea is here. Okay? That's all. Now look at it. Center. Outside. Foot. Okay? Right. Center. Cross shin. Here. Sweep. If you sweep it and plant it, their leg is over here. At this point, the whole side of that body is exposed. Okay? Matt, if I may borrow you right here, you back to the camera on the butt. Okay. This one I particularly do like. Again, as I said, cross. Just shift a little bit. Okay, I'm going to pull this arm out of the way. Again, here, cross. I cross his shin. I've controlled. Okay, from here, fan, I collapse him. Bring it back up. Can you pull this arm out just so they can see?
Oh.
Just pull that arm out.
Yeah.
Boom. Cross. His leg's gonna drop. If I bring weight down on it, I bury it. And I cross him, or opening gambits. Go around your opponent. Do not have to go through them, but you can. Again, I can take that same energy, plant him, and here. He's obviously lower than I am, a little taller. My shoulder would go straight under his chin, and I would steamroll straight back. Again, I like to step up. Boom, that's just me. I'm shorter. That step up allows me to coil my energy. Allows me to create a spring that I can then expand again. Okay? So again, here, or if my opponent stopped on the outside, and again, same thing. I can fan it, cut, or bury, again. Neck. Guillotine. Just control, better. Starting to make him uncomfortable. One arm's trapped, the other arm's trapped. So again, we're looking at opening gambit. Motion you can use, things you should look at. Okay? People say, oh, from this stance, I like this stance. From here, get there to achieve has always been very simple. Could I ask you to move over?
Yes.
Okay. It's from here. This is like a shrimp drill, only sitting. Check. This is a motion to practice. From here, because you've redirected. You don't like what you're seeing in this position, you don't like what's being presented to you, and then recontrol it. Okay? Again, if you text me, Facebook, whatever, ask a question, I will try to answer you as quickly as possible. Again, if you have time, if you're scheduled, if your kids, if everything else allows you, please look at the things I'm talking about here. And at least, if you can, process enough to come back and ask questions so we can discuss these things. I realize, especially with jiu-jitsu and techniques, it can be very hard to work with technique without an actual person. Okay? If you have something you want to look at, please let me know. Okay? So I thank you for tuning in, if you have indeed tuned in. And if not, I hope to see you soon enough in the dojo. And